right, let's do this part 2.
How you feeling, my love?
Pretty tired. It's been a long weekend.
Dude, this has been the longest weekend ever.
Yeah, it feels longer than last year for sure.
It does. I like. I'm not a big fan of Miami, bro. To be honest. Not that I've seen a whole bunch of it. But.
I felt like there was more people last year to the point that we were waiting in line for like a few hours to get in, and now, I mean, it looks empty.
Yeah.
Like even the vendor booths look empty. So I don't know if it's because of California or I don't know.
Wait, are they doing? They're doing California this year?
Yep.
Too? Really?
September 20th to the 24th.
Oh.
Right after the games.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like a next year type of thing.
No, I just found out today.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
cool. This is Jon, the
Fittest accountant.
fittest accountant. We should put ever.
Huh?
We should put ever at the end of that. The fittest
Ever?
accountant ever.
I don't know. That's Fikowski. I can't go toe to toe with him.
Is he an accountant?
Yeah, he is.
He is?
Yeah.
Nice. What's up, Trav? Trav's popping in the pod real quick.
Yeah.
Jon. No, we are. That makes it good. Jon happens to be our accountant. Jon, how did we meet?
We met at Rogue through Paper Street, and then we did a podcast that disappeared in Area 51.
It did, yeah. The government has its hold on it. They sent it up to the aliens.
Yeah, probably.
There's too much information on it.
yeah. And then we just started talking from there.
Yeah. So Rolo introduced us to you, and it just so happened that I desperately needed an accountant. You know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Heather also needed an accountant because we both run small businesses, rather, which I'm now selling one of them. Are you proud of me? I'm not selling it. I'm getting rid of it. Are you happy?
You're pivoting.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important when you're a small business owner. You know, you go through a lot of ups and downs, and if you want to be successful, you have to be able to either sell or get rid of some businesses to go to the next project. So.
Yeah, how often do you actually have to deal with that with clients?
This year, a lot. Roderick, that's already out in the air,
yeah.
But he got rid of his gym. You're kind of like transitioning away from the gym. And then just because of what's going on in the CrossFit space, a lot of gym owners are also potentially looking at getting rid of their gyms just because they can't keep paying those high dues without knowing what the money's going to.
How much more are the dues?
$1,500.
$1,500?
Yeah.
Is that a lot for most CrossFit gyms?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I feel like, I guess you correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that kind of, I don't know, $4,500 to have the name CrossFit, which basically does the marketing for you when you pop it up on Google, isn't that kind of cheap compared to like other marketing costs?
It's definitely cheaper, but you can't put what a New York gym can afford versus a gym in South Carolina, a gym in Alabama, or even a gym in Texas. You have gyms like Mayhem, not to drop names, or gyms in California, or gyms in New York, like in the city, that are charging insane amounts of money, and they're able or potentially able to afford to pay that membership cost, but the smaller gyms, they can't.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess, yeah, there's going to be like those small town CrossFit boxes that don't have as many memberships, that can't afford the extra $1,500.
Yeah.
Jon, I want to give people some advice on this podcast, okay? Some things that you've taught me was that most things can be a write-off.
Yes, most things.
I dealt with, I don't know if you'd call it an accountant before, but like some woman that did my taxes previously, or tried to do my taxes that never got done. She tried to tell me that like a lot of stuff, and this might have been because of the age of social media and stuff, a lot of stuff that I was trying to write off, like supplements because of a bodybuilding show, which to me I thought of as marketing, groceries, clothes, stuff like that. She's like, you can't write any of that off because you're not getting paid to do it.
Yeah. So, you know, with the new age of social media and everyone kind of doing their own thing or their own business, a lot of things that we do on a day-to-day basis that help the business are write-offs. Obviously, every person is different, every situation is different, but most likely like meals, your computer that you use for, 80-90% of the time for work, your cell phone, even your vehicle, depending on what you're using it for, could be a write-off. But it really depends on the accountant and what your business is and what you're doing that can kind of put guidelines on what a write-off can be.
Do you think, are there people who like, are there people that like specialize more so on the social media side, or like people who are like entrepreneurial in the sense of like how Roderick and I are entrepreneurial, where we're trying to chase the social media aspect of things?
No, accountants, like accounting degrees are getting harder to come by. Not because like it's a hard test, but it's just a boring field.
Yeah. It's numbers.
It's not just numbers, but like TV and the old accountants make the new accountants not attractive to that field. So, and then everything's online and everyone feels like they can do what an accountant does, but in reality, there's a lot more that goes into this. And if there's not enough younger people coming into this field, all of these social media or people who want to do things for themselves, it's going to be harder and harder to learn what a write-off is, how to take income, how to, sell a business or buy a business, or how to, even like redline a contract. So, it's very difficult and very different from what a mom and pop bakery shop would do.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many people that I'll like talk to, and they've given me advice that is like completely adjacent to what you said, or like the opposite of what you'd say. And I'm just like, there's so many people out there that think that they know, but they have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
What is some of the best advice that you'd give somebody with a small business?
One of the best advice is definitely incorporate yourself. It could be, you could start as an LLC, but you have no idea how many things you can write off and save on taxes, or what you can buy to save on taxes at the end of the year. Mostly in this world that we live in, where everything's being taxed so high, or we're getting to the point where you're not going to own anything, you're going to just rent. You can protect yourself through the LLC.
Do you think it's better as a business owner to rent things or own?
It's better to rent as a business owner so you can write it off. So for example, a vehicle, I lease my car, so I'm getting rid of that car.
The Ferrari?
No, no, I have a Jeep. Bad decision at the time, but I'm getting rid of it in December. Then I can expense the deposit or the signing for the next lease in December. But it lets you expense the tires, the oil change, the maintenance, all that, because I work from home, so I don't go anywhere besides the gym or to clients. So my whole vehicle is for business.
What kind of Jeep do you have?
A Wrangler.
Why are you getting rid of it?
I hate it. Whoever gave me whoever told me to buy a Jeep, don't ever tell me that again.
Dude, I fucking love Jeeps.
No.
You just don't like how it drives, or what? You have too many problems? Put him on blast. We're not getting sponsored by Jeep anytime soon.
The battery died on Thanksgiving when I had to go to my friend's house with all the food in the car, and I couldn't get anyone to jump the vehicle.
No way.
Then, yeah.
Paulina, dude.
We'll remember that when we have to do her taxes this year. We'll remember Travis cutting in line too when we have to do his taxes this year.
Yeah.
No, but most of the things that I write off are for business.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So why did you worked for a firm before, right?
Yeah. So I worked for Pepsi. That was my first accounting job.
Pepsi?
Yeah, PepsiCo.
Wow.
Yeah. That was interesting. Very old school accounting, very, it looked like the Matrix on the computers, doing the journal entries, having to do the inventory count at like 3 a.m. on January 1st on one of their warehouses in New York, which sucked.
Dude, fuck that.
Yeah. And then I went to a law firm in the city to be the VP of finance, which was cool. Very young. I was way too young for that position. But
How old were you?
How old was I? 25.
And they put you as a VP?
Yeah. Hey.
Why? What kind of fucking, what do you even say? What kind of resume do you have to become the VP of finance for a law firm?
So that's a funny story. So I applied through Indeed. So I was just bored one day and I just applied on Indeed, like easy apply. I never do an application. I find it so pointless to do that. And I got called in for the interview, and luckily I was raised to, you bring your resume in, you print out like 10 copies, bring in a folder to give out to the people, and I gave it to them. And the interview went great, whatever. It took like 2 months to get a call back I went through 4 interviews. So I met the CFO, the controller, the VP of accounting, and then like the senior accountant who was kind of like under me when I got hired. And after that, when they brought me on, they told me if I didn't bring in the copy of the clean resume, they would have never hired me because Indeed just gave them like bullet lines of my whole history.
No way.
So, yeah. So if you go through Indeed, easy apply. Make sure you bring your resume.
That's wild, dude.
But it just had Pepsi, and they love that. That's something I noticed in corporate America. Like the big names sell. It doesn't matter what you did or how young you are. It's just a name.
Yeah. So it's like kind of who you know. Type thing?
It's just the brand,
So why do you say that you were too young to be the VP of finance, though? Were you lacking some skills, do you think?
I don't think I was lacking skills. It's more like the older people did not respect the fact that I was like half their age and telling them what to do. So, and it was pretty obvious when I would have to like chase after them to do like their month-end reporting, when we had to do the year-end closing. It was like pulling teeth out to get things done with them.
Were they like smacking you with their canes and being like, no, little man?
No, they weren't that old. They were like maybe 10, 15 years older than me, but no one wants to be told what to do by someone younger than them.
I don't want to be told what to do by somebody younger than me, so I can totally understand that. Imagine being like 50 and in your career and some 25-year-old comes and tells you.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, I feel their pain now.
Yeah.
But I get it,
Something that's cool about you, though, at least in my opinion, is that you work with small businesses, you work with like social media influencers, whoever it is, but you also yourself have a small business, had a small business, and sold a small business. So you kind of actually have an insight to the ins and outs of like every piece of what it means to be a business owner.
Yeah. One of the biggest things is when you're a small business owner and you hire employees, it's always a battle, and not because maybe their work is not up to par, but the fact that it's not their business, so they're not going to pour their soul out like you are. And that's something you need to understand, that you're bleeding for your business. You're doing everything 24/7, and you have to remember your employees are just your employees. Like they have no skin in the game, and that's something that I try to tell clients who have employees and they're complaining like, oh, this person leaves at 5 o'clock, or they clock out at 6. They don't answer phone calls. They're never on call, or they're on weekends. They have no skin in the game.
So they don't give a shit.
Yeah, they don't care. They're just there to collect a paycheck. As long as they're not, getting written up or getting fired or getting yelled at, they're going to show up day in and day out. But you need to separate the fact that you're going to bleed for your business, because your business is what's, keeping your lifestyle up.
Right. Yeah. So what was your business that you had before that you ended up selling?
So I had another accounting business.
Why'd you sell it?
So I sold it because I had a merchandising client who wanted me to be their director of finance full time. He's the one that told me that everyone has a price, and it just happened that he hit the right price that I wanted. And
how much was it? You don't have to actually say it.
Yeah, it was a lot. For me anyway. But it's you. Like selling clients or telling them like, hey, I'm not going to be your accountant anymore, or even like introducing them to a new accountant that you might know. It's always very awkward. But I try not to burn bridges with that, and told them if they had any questions, they could still reach out. But of course, the other job I had, it was a 9 to 6, which I found out towards the end that it was a 9 to 6. I was leaving at 5. I thought it was 9 to 5. And then, I met Roderick, and I kind of just, snowballed from there. And I was like, I kind of like having my own business. Like, I don't like answering to anyone.
Yeah, fuck no. That's like that's my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Like having to answer to somebody. And I found out, I personally found that out at a very young age. I was like 17 years old when I figured that out. But that doesn't mean that I've been hyper successful in any realm. You know, I'm still trying to find my way too. But yeah, I mean, taking, I don't know, I guess not direction, because everybody, like, I have mentors, right? And even people like you who can give me direction and tell me like, hey, these are going to be the smart things to do. I like that, but I don't like somebody who like calls the shots all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I get that.
So you sold it, and then why did you start to get into this world of working with like media influence, social media influencers, like, and athletes?
So I always wanted to work with athletes. You know, they're the ones that get taken advantage of by the companies, because a lot of the athletes don't know what they're worth, and the companies know they're not going to fight them back. So a lot of the times the athletes just sign a contract and they're okay with it, mostly the smaller athletes. But if they have someone who has a finance background, who has an accounting background, can review the contracts or the agreements and give them some advice on, hey, maybe you should push back, maybe you should ask for more of a kickback or royalties. That's where they start making money, but not just making money, but also saving money or what they can write off. A lot of the athletes, for example, they make their home gyms and, you know, they just expense it. They don't know that it's an asset. They don't know that if they had a business or an entity that they could buy through the entity and take the depreciation over time. They don't know that they could save on taxes by, you know, getting paid through their entity instead of getting paid to their name directly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when is the right time to make an entity and when is not the right time to make an entity? Because one of the things that I asked you was if I should LLC the podcast like right away, and you kind of said just like hold off until the new year.
Yeah, so it really depends on how much money you're bringing in. You know, if you know for example, like if you come to me and you tell me I'm expected to make $5,000 this year on a podcast, I'll tell you don't even create an entity, because it's going to cost you more to create the entity, get like the legal advice. Even if you go through Rocket Lawyer, they're going to charge you a bunch of fees to have a registered agent. And then to maintain it, to pay the minimum state tax, because every state has a minimum state tax, even if you have a zero. And then, you know, it's very difficult, or if you're going to spend more trying to correct the mistakes if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. So if you come to me and you tell me, hey, I'm going to make 10 grand this month, this year, then that's when we can start incorporating the business, taking, you know, the assets that you have, the depreciation, and it's a whole, like, you know, kind of like backroom math that we can do to make sure that whatever income you have, it could be a zero for the first year, or you get a refund.
Got it. Yeah. And when he says you said save you from things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When he says that, Jon has saved me from a couple things. He saved me from trying to sue people, and he saved me from spending too little and too much money.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me not to sue my old business partners?
Obviously, from the stories you've told me, it's you don't want to get in a legal battle that's going to drain you from what you have right now.
Yeah.
You have all the assets in the gym, all the equipment that you could resell, take with you personally, and have. And that's something that you can use down the road to make money if you ever need to. But if you got into a legal battle with someone that has a higher net worth, they could just bury you in paperwork and you would be in debt for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, so I lost 2 business partners this year. I've mentioned it on a few podcasts, but Jon was adamant about me not going to legal battle with one of the business partners because it would cost more money to actually sue the guy than it would on any return that I would get from it.
Yeah.
Have you seen business owners make those mistakes before?
Yeah, I've seen business owners try to buy out their other partner, even if it's 50-50, and it gets ugly real quick just because one partner thinks they did more work than the other. They think the business is valued more than it really is. They both get like 2 accountants, 2 legal teams, and the fees just start racking up to the point that it made no sense getting into that, where you just could have bought someone out for a flat price.
Yeah. What are the things that you think that people should go to an accountant for versus a lawyer, and vice versa?
Accounting, definitely how to take income, what's an expense, what's not an expense, how to buy a car, how to expense the car through the business for sure, because a lot of people always want to know that. Mm-hmm. for girls that are in the sports world or even social media, can they write off, for example, like can they write off their boob job, injections, hair transplants, their hair done, whatever it may be. That's why you need an accountant. But for a lawyer, definitely, your contracts, your agreements, your sponsorships, making sure that you're protected, that the business is protected, that you're protected, and then depending on if you have more than one business, how can you create a trust to hold the different businesses to make sure that you and your family are completely protected from that.
How often do you see like people in the social media / small business world and I guess athletes make mistakes with contracts?
All the time.
How can you save them time?
So from my experience with the merchandising client, I've seen the back end of some of the contracts, some of the red lines, so I know what to look for. But the biggest thing is for example, if you have a clothing deal, you need to read the fine print to see if you can even wear other people's clothing. Even if you're not advertising, someone gave it to you for free, some of those contracts are so tight that you can't wear any other brands, not even to like sleep in. Because if they catch a photo, you could get a penalty, you could get a fine. If you drop the wrong thing on social media, that's also an issue. And not even with like athletes or social media people, like regular employees. The new employee contracts now have a stipulation for social media. So if you say anything political, anything against what the norm goes against, you could get fired.
That's wild.
Yep.
That makes me for sure never want a day job, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap. Well, I guess the last question that I have for you is, what do you want to tell people? What do you think that everybody needs to know about accounting and having an accountant? I personally have had a really, really great experience working with Jon, just because he can actually you can lay it down in layman's terms for me. Like I ask you a question, it's like super simple. If I want to call him at 9 p.m. at night, he'll tell me, just give me 5 minutes or hold, sir. And then he answers the phone. His thing is hold, sir.
Yeah.
And so I find it really beneficial because I think that a lot of people think that they know what they're doing with finance and they don't really know what they're doing with finance.
Depending on who your accountant is, how big or small they are, you need to have some patience. Their brain's filled with numbers and rules and regulations that we constantly have to keep up with, make sure that we know what we're doing, and you just have some patience with them, mostly during tax season through
Paulina got in on that burger and fell. No way.
Man, definitely have patience.
A lot is happening at the booth right now. All right, have patience.
Have patience during tax season. It's a lot of work. Not only they're closing your year, they're doing your taxes, they're prepping to review that with you, but they're also trying to keep up with the month-to-month process.
Yeah.
So patience is key because right now all the accountants are starting to have like a short fuse, depending on how overworked they are, how big their team might be, or how small. And the last thing you want is to lose your accountant right before tax season.
Yeah, I guess never mind. I have one more. Have you had some crazy fucking experience happen where somebody just lost their shit with you and you're like, I'm done, I'm over?
Oh yeah, twice. So I didn't let the client go, but Friday at 6 p.m. I had a client call me and talk to me for 15 minutes about a mistake that was done by one of his staff members. And the fact that I told this specific client that I was in Miami at Wadapalooza for vacation, and he still called me, really bothered me because there was no respect on that. And it just killed the rest of my night. It killed my Saturday.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have a meeting with him tomorrow, but that got canceled.
You seem stressed out.
Yeah. Don't bother me when I told you I'm on vacation.
Wait, which is hilarious though, because I texted Jon and asked him 2 weeks ago if I could call him. He answers the phone and he goes, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm in Guatemala right now. Where were you at?
Honduras.
He was like, I'm in Honduras right now. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why'd you answer the phone?
Yeah, it's been no, that's fine. There's obviously clients like you that don't really bother me or don't need that much.
I feel like we're kind of boys though.
Yeah. But then there's also other clients that I've had that cross that line. There was a client on my old business that I sold who would call me at, for some reason he knew my gym schedule. He knew I would get out at midnight and call me at midnight, and he would have an hour-long conversation about what his goal was and his plan was. As nice and generous as he was, it was so annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, he would call me at 3 a.m. to transfer money because he was in the other side of the world doing who knows what. And, at 3 a.m, I'm not picking up.
Just doing like strippers and blow and stuff.
That's one thing. The less I know about certain expenses, the better it is.
Yeah. Just how much do you need? I don't need to know what
exactly.
it's on. Cool, man. Well, hey, I look forward to continuing building our relationship and helping you get that Ferrari. As soon as I get some millions of dollars, I'm gonna figure out a way to get you some more millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Sweet, dude. Well, yeah. You guys, this is Jon, the fittest accountant. He is our accountant. I would truly appreciate if you went and followed him. If you hired him as your accountant, we've had nothing but good experiences so far. He's a pleasure to work with. Anything else that you want to plug or say?
Nah, that's all.
That's
This
it?
was fun. Don't lose the audio.
And this episode was brought to you by Jon, the fittest accountant.
Hell yeah.
Thanks so much, dude. Like, subscribe, do all that. Talk to you in the next one.